What's up, everyone? Drew, aka Catcher Rackets here. I hope y'all had a good day today. Um, just real quick, I don't have any option setups for tomorrow. Um, Frankly, just didn't have time to look even. Um, I actually just woke up after sleeping from working the last 3 nights. Um, kind of had to force myself out of bed to come here and do this video for you guys. Um, with that said, I mean, I do see a few decent setups. It looks like there was a little fake out here. Basically, from the open, there's really nothing. But here, where we finally break above, retest here, right? And then we get one, two, three full 5 minute body candles above retest. From here, you would kind of expect them to bounce. They didn't. They sold off. I wouldn't expect that anybody would have got puts here, but that is ultimately what we were looking for. But we were looking for them to come to here and then reject and go lower, right? Here we broke below. We got a nice retest here. This was a good short. At that point, you don't worry about a bounce off of the top of this because it's already been cleaned up, basically. So this retest would have been a good place to get in. And then the next one, this here, this is, we'd talked about this. I should say, like, this here would have been a fake out, maybe. No. This actually would have been a great short, right? We broke below, retested, down, came back, retested, play it down. This is the one that really sticks out to me. This is an obvious buy. Like, this was our buy side high volume node that we were wanting them to come and tap. We had drawn the arrows for this. And then kind of happened, the last 45 minutes of the day. So they didn't make it maybe as high as we would have liked, but they did come up and tap the previous week value area high. So this would have been a nice trade if you were still hanging around and watching price action. With that said, let me go ahead and start erasing everything. They did things backwards on me. I expected a pullback and then for them to make a new all-time high, and I think they just we didn't even make a new all-time high, but I guess I didn't even realize we were so far away. But I was expecting them basically to come above those single prints, which they did, but they did it at the beginning of the day versus pullback and then going up to there. All right. Makes sense, but I was watching it last night. I was kind of surprised they didn't give us the reaction that we were looking for at that sell side high volume node in the overnight session. Pretty crazy. We have a poor high at the top. Pretty sure that down at the bottom we have a tiny bit of single prints. Yeah. Looks like they want to push this higher again. I also realized I probably should have done this sooner, but we're so close to September being done that we should have our September developing September value areas on the chart. All right, I'm going to zoom out, look at the big picture here. Pretty ugly candle. Volume's decent. We've got like doji indecision candle. It is bearish, right? Obviously. Doesn't look great, but kind of contradicts what I'm seeing here, where we have single prints at the bottom and we have a poor high at the top, meaning if they come down here, they're probably going to bounce. If they come up here, they're probably going to break through and go higher, right? Excuse me. Basically, what I'm looking at here is we have 3 weeks, right, where we're bracketed. So I've drawn a fixed range volume profile around those 3 weeks. And if we look at this it looks like we're still kind of accepting value in this area here, right? We spent a little bit of time getting up to here. Once we got here, we pretty much hung out, sold off a little bit, peaked above, came back inside, peaked below, came back inside, and right now we're back inside, right? Bulls need to drive this above here, obviously, and hold. And bears need to drive this below here and hold. But for now, we're bracketed, we're happy in this range, right? I want to say if they come here, like it's an immediate short, but I don't think it is. This is a poor high. They're probably going to want to break through that, clean it up at least a little bit before they go lower. Whereas, I mean, at the bottom, we do have like a double bottom, right? Where this would be, single prints, completed auction, strong low. Came back on a daily level. This would be poor low to where it looks like they might want to break through and go lower, right? Clean up this auction. But obviously, so like this was really strong and they've come back and retested it. If we come back to here, they probably break through and go lower. And then again, up here, we have a poor high where if they come up there, we should break through and go higher. I'm leaning bullish in that's the direction I think they're heading. But we're going to play whatever they give us, right? Hey, what's up, Nora? BLC. I'll try to look at Kava at the end here. Futures have basically opened flat, right? Nothing's really happening here. Let's look at our fear and greed index, and then let's look at the what's it called? The English. Come on. News for tomorrow. We're probably still neutral, yeah. News for tomorrow. We just have jolts, basically. The French president, Lagarde, is speaking before the market open. So this is, might affect futures traders if you're in a trade. But our main thing we need to be worried about is the jolts, job openings at 30 minutes after the market open. That word totally irks me, BLC. Oversold. There's no such thing. It's what people, basically it's what the, whoever's participating in that company as shareholders consider to be value. We're either accepting value or we're not accepting value. But yeah, I know it's a term that's used quite a bit by like retail traders: oversold, overbought. Um, and really, we're just always looking at, are we in value or out of value? Are we seeking higher values, seeking lower values, or are we in value like we are right now on SPY? We've been ranging in the same area for a while now. We're in value. All right, let me open up my other charts and we'll find our high volume nodes. Something in the back of my head is telling me to look at imbalances, so I'm going to make sure I do that. I wonder if there's like a stacked POC or something. A nice stacked POC, a juicy one. So our largest volume is down here, right? But they had to push price all the way up to here, or really up to here, to initiate this selling. I think this is probably the better high volume node area to grab. That's an opinion. There is a chance price could come to here and then reject and go lower. I mean, it is 10 points. Yeah. This will be up to the individual. If you want to grab this, I would understand. I just think, we came down to here. There was, a large amount of orders traded here, but they pulled it all the way back up and created a high volume node here. I think this is the area to target to get in short or get in puts. Because if we start getting in here, we're probably just getting in earlier and they're going to bring it higher and then go. But again, that's an opinion. I could be wrong. And then I'm interested in this here as a potential buy side or sell side. We don't know yet. We need that 30-minute candle below, or at least I don't think we know yet. That we might have a 30-minute candle below at this point, but I'm not sure. When I flip over to the other charts, we'll see. I want to look at the imbalances. Nothing on 1 hour. Nothing on 30-minute. On 5-minute, we have an imbalance up here at the beginning of a trend. So again, basically, I'll just give this information to everybody. If I'm looking to short, I'm probably going to be targeting like 714 to get in. Our imbalance starts at 713. So they might come to there and reject and go lower if they didn't already do it. You can't really see what levels they came to very well on these charts. It looks like they've already hit 14 and 13. I guess this is a full body candle below. They've come to here. And if they retest it again, it's just making it look like it's weaker, and I wouldn't want to be getting into shorts there. However, it could work. You just have to wait and see what happens. But not an area I would be wanting to short right now, in the sense that we keep coming up to here. This is going to be a weak high at the top. And they might end up just smashing through and going higher. Let me grab the actual levels. It was 13 to 16. I think that's what I have. Yeah. Well, and for argument's sake, the HVN is at 714. Kind of a bummer that we missed this, because I mean, it's not massive, but close to 10 points. And sorry. Hmm? All right. I guess let's transfer this over to SPY. I don't really like where we're at, basically. Um, and I guess what I'm saying by I don't like where we're at is things are getting so compressed that it's like if you short here, where do you close, right? Um, and there's not much room between levels. I think ideally, if you were to short, you just close there at the bodies of these candles. Just on SPY, it's not very much of a move. It's 1 point, so it's nothing to like, you know, bat an eye at, but it's not amazing. So here on futures, if I was shorting, I would close here. Um, body, see. All right. So I just want to kind of show what I'm looking at right here. So, um, here we made a um, lower low on 5 minutes, right? Um, came up, lower high, higher high, whatever, lower high, right? Higher high. Sold off. But the thing here is like we sold off with kind of aggression, like this is just straight down. Where here we, you know, stair stepped up. This went from top to bottom and made an equal low in, you know, just a few candles versus stair stepping down. So they were not able to make a lower low from here, right? So this is not looking like a strong area to be in puts, to be short. So now, if they're unable to make an equal high or even a higher high, you know, and they kind of come up and tap here and then start selling, it might not be a terrible spot to get in puts or get in short. But if they do end up, you know, making a higher high, then this area is looking really weak, right? And they're probably going to come up, make a little bit of a higher high, come lower, and then go. So that's just kind of what I'm looking at on like the lower time frames. Um, it's a basically it's making it difficult to like figure out what they're trying to do. Because this right now is looking at least slightly bearish. I mean, sorry, at least slightly bullish. Where again, from here they couldn't make a lower low. And prior to that, they were making new higher highs as they pushed higher, right? Or I mean, sorry, or yeah, higher highs. And then obviously, like getting above these areas here, or even this here, would be more confirmation that they're trying to, take this higher. I feel like I just want to say I'm going to go live tomorrow, and not kind of give out levels, but um, let me close this chart so I can see chat. I also don't even know that I'm going to be up to going live tomorrow. Um, yeah, I'm going to be pretty generic. I'm going to ignore this. I think they're going to slice through it. I feel like I'm going to do my best to go live tomorrow. Um, but reality is telling me that I'm probably not going to be awake. I'll explain. Like to people that want to hang out, I'll explain why. I don't think I'll be awake, but for now, and when I say this, I'm not going to take Christian. Yeah, he jumped on a table. Um, sorry, bear with me, everybody. Um, excuse me. Gosh, I feel like I can't even talk. The hell? Is that better? Okay. Whew. Literally couldn't talk for a second there. So I might be dying, everybody. Kind of early to tell. But yesterday, like they called out an emergency at my hospital. So I get there. There's no signage saying, airborne precautions, whatever. I go walking straight in the room, no mask on, doing my thing, all up in this dude's face. Like he's basically breathing. I'm breathing his air. I'm breathing his CO2. Like, and then one of the nurses is like, "Oh, by the way, it's COVID," and I'm like, "Oh, thanks for letting me know." before I came in the room, when I walked right past you, you know, that it's COVID, because that would have been helpful before I was basically sucking face with this dude. Or wait, I think this was 2 nights ago. Yeah, 2 nights ago. Anyway, so maybe I'm in the early stages of COVID pneumonia and I'm going to die. Anyway, for now, I'm interested in being short or in puts here. This I'm not really interested in. It looks like we're going to blow through it. Definitely be interested in calls, especially if we come down and hit these single prints. But I would be kind of interested in this whole range here. I am going to post pictures. And then we'll... Oh, again, before I say this... such is life, man. Oh, so what I was going to say before I say this... There's good treatments for COVID? Not that I've seen. People are still dying from it. Not like they were back in 2020 or whatever, but yeah. I'm about to say that I will look at Tesla and Kava, but I'm not going to be looking at any other stocks, so please don't ask. I only technically have about 13 minutes, and I got to get out the door. And I need to get up and get dressed and... brush my teeth and all that other good stuff. I should add, if anybody joined us on the Oxy Play and also the Snap, they're both looking pretty good. All right, let's try to look at Kava and Tesla. Yeah, I have a sell order at 2K for the Snap. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, so while I'm doing this, kind of the reason I'm concerned I won't be up tomorrow is we've been dealing with... this might seem silly to some people. I'll show you guys what we're dealing with. Where is it? So it starts here with an earthquake.
All right, let's give it up to the...
Hang on. It'd be interesting to see if you guys see what I see. But yeah, here's this.
Newest Rockstar Pro band, IDC.
What's up, everybody? Are you ready? You guys ready to rock? Yeah! Come on, you can do better than that.
guys see my son's face?
Yeah! Alright, we're IDC. You ready to hear our first song? Yeah! Alright.
So there's that. And again, I'm kind of just curious to see Eras at 2K, price 2,000. So that was their very first song of the night. And then I'm trying to remember the order. I think this was the second song.
We have Xavier on drums. We have Christian on bass.
Oh, actually, I think
We
this
have
one's
Nolan
not
on
bad.
guitar.
Oh, then my son has to throw on his guitar.
Here's our next song.
So I guess nothing bad on that song. And then they went into this.
Alright, so you guys might know this song. We kind of just punked it up a little. So if you guys know it, sing along. You guys got it? Alright.
So I guess that one wasn't bad either. Again, I don't really remember. This one is horrible. At least. Again, I haven't shared what's bothering me. But hopefully you guys see what I'm seeing. So just to be clear, frontman, right? Bassist, guitarist, drummer.
Anyone know about bass? They don't play like these or nothing. Let's see some people rocking out up here. Alright, you ready?
I mean, the vocals might be low, but that's not the issue. Next song.
Alright, we got a couple more songs left for you guys. Alright, this is for all the millennials out there. Are you guys ready?
I guess that one wasn't terrible. This one is probably the worst one.
Alright, I know every single one of you knows this song. I want you all to sing along. Alright?
I don't know if you can tell my son's like dejected and done at this point. He's like, all right.
Come on, I want to hear you real loud. So my friends present and I pass and beyond. Especially those who are with us too long. That is the most fresh thing that you can lose. Hear the fun was
So like my son's in multiple bands, right? And in his other band, there's some songs where he's the front man and the lead singer, and there's some songs where there's another band member that's the lead singer. And when your lead singer is trying to talk to the crowd between songs, everybody else in the band should just shut the fuck up, right? I think the most obvious, and then if we get to the end of this song,
I have a note for you guys.
oh wait, I think it's here. Sorry, I don't know exactly. The music teacher finally like did the right thing. If you watch this,
I'll be good.
so I don't know if you saw that. He straight up turned off his microphone. because he keeps talking when he shouldn't be talking. And yeah, and the kid's like looking at the microphone like, oh, what's wrong with it? He turned it off. And again, I think the most obvious, like, well, there's two songs where I think it was really obvious. Like, sorry, I'll do it again really quick. This.
All right, let's give it up to the newest rock star pro.
This would be like the most obvious, where my son's literally in the middle of talking and he just starts talking right over him.
Band IDC.
What's up, everybody? Are you ready? You guys ready to rock?
And then I think the second most obvious one is this one, where again he just interrupts him.
Anyone know about that? They don't play like these are people rocking out.
Anyway, you know, my son being in martial arts is very much about like, or it's been preached to him to be respectful of other people. And with that said, he just does not tolerate disrespect very well. And, you know, when it's preached to him that you need to be respectful and polite, you know, and not interrupt people, you know, if it happens once or twice, he's not going to get really upset. But this is just an ongoing thing over and over and over again, where he keeps getting interrupted. And it's spilling over, like, to where it's just like a constant discussion in my household. So I'm going to go talk with the other band members today. We were supposed to have a meeting, like all of us, but the family in question, I guess their daughter has a fever today, and so they're not going to be able to make it, of course, very conveniently. But me as a father, oops, I did not mean to do that. Me as a father, I don't want to subject my son to this anymore, meaning that I don't want him to have to go to even one more practice. And, you know, put up with being disrespected, I guess. So, and my son's just done. Like, he just doesn't even want to be in the band anymore. So. And I've been trying to preach to him, like, hey, you know, what's this? Like, they just straight up didn't have their earnings. It's weird. So right away, just at a glance, this is not a bad spot. To get a small position, right? This was resistance broken through, support, and now we're back here. You'd want it to act as support here and bounce. However, I wouldn't load the boat here. Let me see. I guess the big thing here is we're going to be kind of just splitting hairs. 48. So again, not a terrible spot to buy some shares, but we have our monthly bottom right below this cloud here at 55.48. So ideally, what I would like to see is, again, if you really want to position, this is not terrible. But ideally, what I would like to see is for them to lose this, come to here, bounce, retest, and then that would be your entry to get in. It would be the retest here. But you could just kind of take kind of this entire zone here as a buying area. If they lose this, I would have a pretty tight stop. Roberto, we think it's going to 60. That's why we got, or over 60. That's why we got $60 calls. But yeah, that's what I would be looking at on Kava. This is super important, though. They need to hold this, otherwise it's going to get ugly. So, again, you can buy anywhere between 55.50 and 58.38ish, or 58.33. But if they lose that 55.50 level, you're going to want to have a fairly tight stop. Whatever that is, like $55, $54, something like that. I wouldn't hold it, because if they lose this again, it's going to be slippery slope down. Okay, but they are at a pretty key level to where it's not a terrible spot to buy some shares. I would not go heavy, though. But it wouldn't be a bad pickup if you want to own shares in this company. Tesla, blah. They're going lower. On higher time frames, we're going 500s, but we're going to be going lower first. At least that's how it looks. This could be interesting. Um, I don't know if I can find an example, but basically when we break above the clouds and retest, there's a chance they launch from there. Um, so even here, like this is a retest, right? This is a retest, and then we broke through. Um, that's all the data I have. And right now, there's a chance. So I would just say right now, if it comes down to 28, it's not a bad spot to buy, to play for a little up move. But I think ultimately they're going to come lower. But yeah, 28, 29-ish. Actually, yeah, 29. 429, if they come down to there, it's not a bad spot to grab shares or even an option contract and play it up. Let's see. Yeah, just don't try to take it too high. Definitely close that before 59. Same thing on the weekly. We're above the weekly. They might come down, retest this, and then go. Oops. Same thing with daily. Yeah, they might actually launch this. Oh. I said 29, right? And it's good. 30, 29-ish. I would say you could easily play it up to like 39. And then there's a chance that they're going to whatever I said, 40, 50, I think it was. Or 450. Okay. I'll peek at Oxy really quick, and then I'm going to take off. But I don't know that TA is going to matter too much. We're really just expecting war news. And obviously, we're not excited about war news. We're not trying to profit off of war, but it was at a good buy level when we called it out. And basically, it is what it is. This is our target up here. Obviously, we have resistance here. We've got to get through this. Once we do, pretty clear shot to 61.38-ish. Okay. Yeah. So that's all I've got for you guys. Oh, I guess I didn't finish explaining kind of... let me close this. Basically, I know from what I showed you guys, like it might sound silly, but basically, if it's not the child, and again, when I say this, he's a great kid. Like I love him. He's super fun. Like, I like the way they sound together as a band, but it seems like he really wants to be the front man in a band. He wants to sing, and like that's great. So go be a front man in a band, but you don't join a band that already has a front man and then start stepping on his toes. And that's kind of what's happening. And my son's just getting really frustrated. And I actually, when I came home this morning, like my wife, I didn't get to go because I worked last night. I didn't get to go to their show. But I came home this morning and I'm trying to edit the videos. And I'm getting pissed, right? Watching this interaction keep happening where he keeps talking over my son and interrupting him and whatever else. And I actually went over to my son. I gave him a hug and I was like, I'm proud of you for not punching him in the nose, or just walking off the stage, just being like, you know what, you take care of it. I'm out, done. Because that's what I would have done. Like even as an adult, I would be like, okay, either you get off the stage now and I'll take over on guitar, or I'm leaving, wouldn't have done it. But so, I don't know, me and my wife, we basically never argue. And this whole thing that's been going on, and again, it might seem really like small, and a lot of it is really small. But, and again, like I'm so hesitant to talk because like they're great people, but they're not the right people for us, right? Like, for people that are not musicians, being in a band, or most people, understand relationships, right? Like being in a marriage or even being, dating, things can get very difficult just between two people, right? Where you have differences of opinions and, as people, we have to decide, like, are our differences of opinions going to be a big problem, or can we be together in a relationship, right? And that's really what relationships are. And when you're dealing with a band, a lot of times you're dealing with basically a marriage where instead of two people, you have like 4, 5, 6 people. I mean, some bands are smaller, 2 or 3 people, but in general, it's like 4 people on average, I'll say. And so you'll have these, personality conflicts or whatever, and you have to decide as a band if the personalities, like if it's something that you can work through and that you want to be in a band together, right? And Erez is saying he feels like it's solvable, but I haven't touched on the more important part. So what I've shown you is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, and it's like every single thing. So there's four members, so 4 personalities, and then since they're children, then you also have all of the families, right? All of the parents. And every single thing that is said, like, oh, let's do this boy's family is like, oh, but what about this? Like everything, there's a point of contention where all the other families are like, oh yeah, sounds great. Okay, cool. Yeah. But everything is, oh, but what about this? Like, I don't want to do that. Like everything, every little thing. And when you're dealing with somebody like that, where every time you try to do something to move forward, they're like, no, wait, stop. Let's go backwards. It's frustrating to deal with. And I guess the biggest issue is me and my son, like the band my son's in already, he wanted to be more active where he wanted to practice outside of their music school. He wanted to try to book shows outside of the music school, try to get onto big stages. And we approached all of the other members with it, and they were all like, yeah, no, we're good, right? And so we're like, okay. So then me and my son were talking, and he's like, hey, like, I want to do or I told him, I think, like, oh, you should do a punk band. And he's like, yeah, that would be cool. I would love to do a punk band. And I was like, and we should make sure like everybody that joins is really motivated, right? Where we want them to, like they want to practice outside of the music school. They want to book shows outside of the music school. They want to try to get onto the biggest stages possible. We need to make sure everybody's like all in, right? And like really, really want to be like performers and put themselves out there. And my son's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And so then we approached his music teacher and we're like, hey, like he wants to make a band. He wants to be the front man. And at the time he was like kind of torn, like, should I just sing or should I sing and play guitar? And I told my son, I was like, remember when you joined your other band? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, do you remember how excited you were? And he's like, yeah. And I said, so maybe on this band, just sing. That way another kid has an opportunity to join as a guitarist. And then that way they get to have that fun and excitement of being in a band versus you taking two spots, like one for singing and one for playing guitar, which again, it wouldn't be bad because it's ultimately like his baby and his idea to make this band. But he was like, oh yeah, no, you're right. Like it would be better to give, like more kids opportunities to be in a band and join us and, have fun, and get to experience all of that. So he decided to just, only be the front man lead singer. Right. And then, we talked really in depth with his music teacher, like, hey, this is our vision. Like we want to try our best to get them on the biggest stages possible. We want to promote them. We want to have them on social media. I even told his music teacher, like, I'm going to have basically like a banner made, like a vinyl banner that I can put on, like a PVP stand that will have like their picture, their name, and then like a QR code you can scan to send you to all of their social medias, like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, everything. And he's like, yeah, that would be dope. Sounds good. And so then the first person or the first family that joined is the bass guitarist. And immediately I went to them and I'm like, hey, or the first family that showed interest in joining was the bass guitarist. And I went to the mom and I talked to her and I was like, hey, this is our vision for the band. This is what we want to do. And she's like, perfect. Like, I want to try to get my son on the biggest stages I can. And I'm like, awesome. So we're on board. Sounds great. And then this guitarist, Henrik kind of worked on songs with him on other projects. And I had told him, my son, hey, why don't you see if he's interested in being the guitarist for the band? And he was like, no, he was like, he's a little bit too much for me. He always wants to be the I guess the center of attention. And I'm not saying that with negative connotation. You have to have an outward personality to be the front man, right? But he's like, yeah, it seems like he would be better suited as a front man, in a different band, because he's always wanting to, to talk and be excited and whatever else. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then so my family and the bassist family and the music teacher decided to get together. So the boys, my son and the bassist, could start voting on songs that they wanted to work on while they look for other members. And we show up to this meeting and that little boy, the guitarist, is there. And we were like, whoa. And my son's like, why is he here? And I'm like, I don't know. And then the music teacher told us oh, hey, I thought he would be a good fit. I invited him. And my son right away was like, oh no, he's going to want to steal, the spotlight. And again, not negative connotation, but it just seems like he needs to be in a band where he's the front person. So anyway, they met, they voted on songs, and then us as families discussed everything. And I was, and I told the mom, hey, this is what we're trying to do, get them on social media, get them out there, get them on the biggest stages possible. And she's like, oh, cool. Yeah, whatever, blah, 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 And then as families, we talked about everything and said hey, you guys want to get together and start practicing these songs tomorrow. And they're like, yeah, that would be awesome. So all of the kids came over to my house and practiced. And right away, they go up to my son's room, they plug in, and I run up there, like I wanted to catch a video of like their first little practice together. And immediately the guitarist was like, I want to sing on some songs. And my son's like, I'm the singer. And he's like, yeah, but I want to sing. And my son's like, okay, but I'm the singer. And he goes, yeah, he was basically like, yeah, but I want to sing some songs. And then I was like, I interrupted and I'm like, hey, so Henrik started this band because he wants to be the lead singer, right? So we already have a singer. You can do backup vocals. And then the guitarist tells me, yeah, but I joined this band to be the singer. And I'm like, then you're in the wrong band. I didn't tell him that, but I was like, for today, why don't you focus on being the guitarist? Henrik's going to focus on singing, and you can discuss this with the music teacher at your next practice, right? And they're like, oh, okay. And so they went on and they practiced. So that was like our very first interaction. Is right away he's like, I want to be the front man. And it's like, you're joining a band that already has one. That doesn't make sense. So, and it's just been that nonstop. And then again, I mean, I guess to give you guys like kind of another example, like that first day they all voted on songs together, and I took a picture of the list of songs. And they've only been together for like a month, maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. They had their first like real gig Saturday, and then they had another gig on Sunday. And anyway, I realized like last week that they didn't have enough songs for their gigs this weekend. So I messaged the music teacher and I'm like, hey, I realized because of this, and this, they don't have enough songs. It's kind of a long story, but we thought they had enough songs, but there was a couple songs they couldn't do because another band was doing the same songs, and the other band had kind of claimed them first, and you don't want to play the same song at a gig as another band. So I was like, hey, like we can't do these two songs because the other band has them. So we need a couple more songs. And he's like, oh shit, you're right. And I was like, what do you think? Like from their list of songs, what about doing this song and this song? He's like, that would be awesome. I was like, they're going to come over to my house and practice on Thursday. Hopefully I can get them like, close to where Friday, you guys at the band practice can get, like you can get it tighter to where they're sounding good, for their show Saturday and Sunday. And he was like, awesome, thank you so much. So then I send out a text to all the families like, hey, can you or I sent out a text to all the parents like, hey, can you have your sons work on these two songs? I just talked to the music teacher, whatever, we don't have enough songs for the show coming up on this weekend, blah, 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 blah. The drummer, the bassist right away are like, oh, sounds good, whatever. And then the guitarist, oh, but what about, or his mom, what about the songs that, my son suggested last week? Like, why are we doing these songs? And I'm like, so I sent her a picture of the list of songs they all voted on. And I was like, these are the songs they all voted on as a group to perform. And so we're working off of that list first. And then we can worry about, voting on new songs. They've already voted on like 12 songs and they only know like 5 or 6 of them. And we need to work on the other ones. And I figure like at that point that should be like done, right? Oh, sorry. Like we didn't realize or whatever. No. My son thought those were just suggestions. And I'm like, why would we vote on suggestions? Like that just doesn't even make sense. So anyway, hopefully you're kind of understanding the general undertone. It's like every single little thing, there's pushback and it's only from one family. And like, if that's not bad enough, then also like interrupting my son and whatever, and not letting him perform his role in the band he's just getting super frustrated to where he's like, Dad, I just want to quit. Like, I can just go start another band, right? And I've been trying to encourage him, like, hey, be patient, like, we'll figure it out, whatever. But then for me today, you know, like, I don't get to go to a lot of the shows. I don't get to go to any of the practices because I'm always working. And as I'm editing the videos, you know, I just keep hearing from my son and from my wife, like, oh, da 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 da. And then when I go and I'm editing the videos, like, I was fuming, to the point that I literally, I mean, my son's not violent, but as you all know, he trains MMA and he's very capable. Like, to the point where I'm editing the videos and I went over and, you know, I'm the person that keeps telling him, be patient, be patient, be patient. To where I was like, shit, I didn't realize how bad this was. And I went over and I gave him a hug and I'm like, thank you for, you know, being so patient and not punching him in the nose. But I know, like, my son wouldn't instigate a fight. He'll finish it, you know? But basically, like, I'm sure he's, like, insanely frustrated, as I would be. And really, I'm just kind of surprised he didn't just, like, drop the microphone and walk off the stage and be like, good luck, you know? It's just way too much. And then kind of the last piece of the puzzle is, you know, I told every family, like, this is the vision. We want to push them on social media. We want to get them onto big stages. And I guess that family, I don't really know details, but I think the mom used to do some kind of, like, promotion or, like, sales on TikTok. And something happened to where she got, like, a stalker or something. I don't know. Again, I don't know the details. I just know something happened where I guess her family had, like, a scary incident with an individual online, harassing them or something. And so as soon as we were like me and the bassist mom was like, hey, like, we're going to start an Instagram account. Immediately she's like, oh, can we make it private? And we're like, no. Who's going to see it if it's private? How are we going to promote them? How are we going to push them as a band if their page is private? And she finally kind of was like, oh, okay, whatever, you know, so it's public. But again, pushback, right? And then and then she's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we're okay with doing Instagram, but we're not okay with doing TikTok. And it's like, what's the difference? Social media is social media. And I guess, you know, she had a bad experience with TikTok, so I understand that, but you're not less vulnerable on Instagram than you are on TikTok. If somebody's going to be inappropriate and weird, they're going to be inappropriate and weird no matter what platform, right? But the kids don't have access to the platform. Like, it's the parents running it, the parents managing the account. And, you know, like, I had already prefaced this before they joined the band, like, hey, like, we're pushing social media, we're doing this. And she was like, oh, okay. But then as soon as they're in the band, it's like, no, push back on everything. And then, sorry, I'm trying to remember. So the last thing that, like, kind of really frustrated me was, so all three families have control over the Instagram account. And one day I went to the band's page and it said, like, actually, here, I'll just show you. And also, if you guys want to, like, feel free to follow the band if you're interested. So this is their page. I.D.C. band official. This header was changed to where it said, so IDC stands for I don't care. They were struggling to find a name for their band, and they kept going, like, they'd be like, oh, what about this name? And oh, I don't care. What about this? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And finally we were like, dude, just make the name I don't care, because you guys just don't care, right? And so they settled on this, at least temporarily. Their music teacher was like, hey, like, the name doesn't have to be permanent, but it'd be good to have a name. And if you guys think of a better name later, you can always change it, right? So anyway, IDC stuck. And that particular family, or the mom, changed the header to say, we really don't care. And I log on to the Instagram page and I was like, ooh, like, what kind of a message are you sending to people? We really don't care. And I was telling my wife, I was like, if you said, like, IDC stands for I don't care, and you like explain the story, because whenever you ask these kids, like, oh, what do you want to do? They're like, oh, I don't care, whatever. And you explain that story and then you follow it with, like, we really don't care. Like, that would make sense. But to just, for me, having a header that just says we really don't care is sending a really bad message to anybody that visits this page. And I was just like, ugh, yucky. So I deleted, like, and I told my wife I was wrong for doing this, but I deleted it and I changed it to, lead singer, keyboard, my son Henrik, and I put his Instagram, lead vocals, guitar, or lead guitar / backup vocals, and then I put their son's name, bass guitar Christian, drums Xavier. And then, of course, that family was like, oh, we don't want our son's name on social media. And I didn't say anything, but, like that video I showed you guys a little bit ago, my son introduced every member of the band. And at their first, like, unofficial show, my son introduced every member of the band. And that family posted that video on Instagram. So I'm like, you shared your son's name on Instagram way before I did, but whatever. So they went in and deleted his name and left the rest of it. And anyway, I was telling my wife, I was like, I was wrong for doing this. I should have discussed it with all of the families first, and then, like, if everybody was okay with it, we could have done it. But also, she should have discussed with all of us, like, hey, I want to change the header to we really don't care, before she just changed it, but they didn't. And I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but that's basically what happened. I wasn't really thinking when I did it. I was just like, ooh, I really don't like, we really don't care. I think it sends a terrible message. I was like, I just need to get rid of that with something. So I just did this, right? And again, in retrospect, I realized that I should have discussed it with everybody first. But again, it's just like every single thing, there's pushback on everything. And so now, like, this is just there with no name, right? And they were talking about, like, making a fake name for him, like a stage name. Like, okay, cool, whatever, that's fine. But it just sounds like our, like our vision, our goals are not aligned as families. And, like, it sounds like they don't want their son to have a social media presence and be out there. Whereas if you're trying to be a musician and get onto big stages, like, you have to be out there, right? So that's the bigger point of contention for me, is that we just don't seem to see eye to eye on what we're trying to accomplish with our kids. And again, that's fine. I feel like I need to say again, they're great people. Like, I like them as people. I think their son is awesome. Like, if you actually look at him, where is it? Sorry. Oh, I guess not in this instance, but, like, he's generally the best dressed kid. I don't know if I have a good example. I guess I don't, but, or actually I do. Let me go back to Instagram. So like this, oh no, that's not it. This, like, he's generally the best dressed kid. And he's very energetic and like, you know, he puts himself out there. But again, like, it seems like he would be so much happier being the front man in a band than being the guitarist. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we have a front man, right? And then it seems like our visions don't align as parents, where every single family like wants to put their kids out there and try to push them and promote them and, you know, like try to have them accomplish amazing things. And one family doesn't want that, right? And it just doesn't seem like it's a good fit. And I'll just end this by saying, like, me and my wife, we never argue. And we've been having arguments about this because it's just causing like this constant discussion about what we're going to do because our son's not happy. We're not happy. It doesn't seem like the other members are happy because there's this back and forth, you know, push and pull. And it's just not fun, and it should be fun, you know? And then also just as a dad, you know, like, I'm not going to let people push my son around. And that's one of the big things for me is I'm really chill and easygoing. But then, you know, like a lot of you here know, like, I'll also break your window if you leave your dog in a car, right? And I'm one of the people where if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, eventually I'm going to snap and I'm going to yell at you. And I don't want to make this other mom cry. So I'm at the point where I'm like, ooh, I need to separate myself from this before I get pushed too far and start making people cry. You know, so anyway, it's a little frustrating. We got to get it all sorted out, you know. So the reason that I'm saying there's a chance that I might not be trading live tomorrow is it's already pretty late in the evening. I haven't had dinner. I'm going to go head to the music school and have a conversation with the other families. The family that we really need to have the conversation with is not going to be there because their daughter has a fever. But that was the plan today, was to go meet all of the parents and all of us discuss like what's best going forward. And I had told my wife, like, I was going to tell everybody today, I'm going to give this until Friday. Like, their next practice is Friday. Meaning, as a parent, as a man, as an adult, as a father, as a protector, I feel like I should pull my son out of this right now. I don't think I should subject him to, you know, to more disrespect. But I also want to be open and kind of give this a chance. And so I've told my wife, I've told the other parents, I haven't told, you know, the family that we're having the contention with or whatever, that basically I'm willing to give it till Friday. And if they show up for practice on Friday and this boy starts talking over my son again, that'll be it. Like, either he leaves the band or we leave, and I don't care which one it is. But now it looks like we're not going to be able to have that conversation today, which means that it's probably going to happen on Friday, and I'm going to pull my son out of it. You know, the rest of the band will have to decide that they want to kick the other boy out. It's one of the two. We're leaving or he's leaving. There's going to be no in between. But again, I was trying to be open and have a discussion, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out. Anyway, with all that said, I got to run. I got to go head to the music school. And I guess what I was getting at is I think I'm going to be up pretty late tonight, which means I'll just sleep through my alarm and I won't be trading in the morning. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, as always, wow, they actually did reject from there. As always, much love, much respect to everybody. No, I agree, John. But we also don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, especially not a 10-year-old. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard. If it was an adult, you know, it makes things easier where you're like, hey, like, this isn't working. He's obviously super excited to be in a band and having fun, you know, so it's a tough situation to navigate because ultimately feelings will get hurt regardless, no matter what you do, you know? Anyway, much love, much respect, everybody. Thank you for listening to me. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow. There is a small chance I'll be live in the morning trading, but I wouldn't bank on it, as I'm pretty sure I'm going to be up pretty late tonight and just sleep in the morning, but we'll see.